I would love your guys' insight on timelines. And when I first was going through this, I had a lot of people approach me about Shakti pot and um, trying to accelerate the process, I suppose. And at the time, that felt really wrong to my intuition, simply because I felt like I really needed some grounding and some stability. And luckily, I've got that, although that's been through stopping all types of meditation or spiritual practices. And in losing those things that once made me feel so connected and aligned, I have entered this state of, yeah, somewhat utter numbness and um, feeling quite depressed. And yeah, I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I know we've all been there, but I'm curious about these lulls. And Brent, maybe from your experience working with so many people, the ups and downs and the entire pauses in the process, what to expect. And if there's a choice in that, as far as following one path or the other.
The lulls, when the exciting stuff, the energetic phenomena, the great, emotional states kind of wane, and we find ourselves in these lulls. There's a bit of depression, fatigue, exhaustion, confusion. Looking back at the past, you may say, was I just tripping out? What was that? Was that even real? It kind of becomes so mundane and simple once again. Be quite alarming, and this can be a theme where we could say it's a similar to, say, a dark night of the soul, where we feel almost abandoned by the energy, by God, abandoned by the excitement. Very difficult place to be, but not unusual. The nervous system needs rest. When energy's flowing, it's great, it's healing, it's uplifting. However, our nervous systems they can overheat, and so they need times to rest. So maybe you've heard this thing, depression, depressed, it's deep rest. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe that's something you heard. Depression is a huge thing. It's a serious thing, but some may consider it to be a stage of deep rest. We rest, we cool
Mm.
the nervous system off, and know that even in these periods, it's not that nothing is happening. It's not that the process is now ended or on pause, or you got to do something to kickstart it once again. This is the process. This is the rest part. This is the rest period, so that the nervous system can become acclimated to the energy flow, and then you can begin again in a new place in a more sustainable way. Energetically speaking, in the nervous system, at the more advanced parts of this journey, we want to be able to abide in a meditative state with the energy flowing as often as possible, day and night. And so for most people, if you put them into a state, say, like if you were to put somebody into the state of consciousness of the Buddha, they would die. They would spontaneously combust. The energy is too powerful. So they need to be eased into it. It's like learning, building up your cardio or something. It's like sprint, sprint, rest. Eventually, you can sprint for longer and longer, or whatever it is, right? Like a marathon, for example. So same kind of thing here. So honor the periods where you feel a lull. Also recognize any attachment to phenomena, any attachment to the gifts, any attachment to the mystical stuff. It's also getting burned up here as well. As also during these periods, self-care is number one here. Self-care, because this is also how we soothe and support the nervous system. So just returning to basic things, just walking, eating well, exercising, being social, tidying up our space, getting all of that in order so that God can come into a life that is ready to relate with God. It's kind of like, how can I put it? It's a new relationship in a sense. If you're single, you want to start dating somebody, you want to be healthy, you want to be ready. You also want to have a generally, I could say, your house is in order. So when they come over, they feel welcome, right? It's kind of like that. So that's why we focus on self-care. So we come to a point where then God can enter into our life and relate with us in a consistent way. Happened to me from 2018 to 2019. I recognize I've been a hippie for too long. I have no direction going on in my life. I'm just like, wandering. So I said, okay, I've been through Kundalini awakening. It's cool. It's intense. I'm done meditating. I'm done reading. I just got to focus on establishing some direction in my life. So I focused on self-care. I focused on establishing a business as a photographer that helped me to get grounded.
Mhm.
No spiritual phenomena. It was like I wasn't even on the path anymore for a whole, at least more than a year. Then at the end of 2019, I was inspired to sit to meditate for the first time in a long time. And in that meditation, it was top three most powerful meditations of my life. After a year of nothing, after a year of just being like a normal person. So know that you're not like delaying the process, holding it back. Go through this lull period, go through this rest period, get your worldly life in order. And some point in the future, who knows what can happen, but don't feel as if, the momentum has to be consistent the whole time. A lot of stuff is happening behind the scenes, and this is how the timelines can unfold. We have a lifetime. I mean, Alexander, you're young, right? You've got a lifetime ahead of you. And so give it some time. There's going to be some periods where you just kind of got to get a breather, and that's okay. And I'm speaking not just to you, but to everybody here, because these are very, very common themes, very common themes. Yeah.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm also really basking in the break. So I'm happy to take my time through this process.
Yeah,
I
for
think you can
sure.
relate to that.
Yeah, and we see it even in a more smaller scale, right? Even those that are meditating, for decades, they take a break too, right? Throughout the day. Even if they're
Mm,
meditating 8 hours a day, it's not 8 hours straight typically. There's breaks in between because the nervous system needs to rest. You need to stretch your body. You need to eat something, right? So same way, except on a more drawn out scale. These breaks can take months, maybe even years. Not
mm.
unusual. Great. So thank you for that fantastic question. Thank you.